UHB.
Even in the lean years, even in the stressful years, even with ups and downs and unknowns and drop passes and sideline meltdowns and breakdowns of all sorts, even when nothing goes according to plan for the Kansas City Chiefs, when Patrick Mahomes plays quarterback, they go to the AFC Championship game. Period. Full stop. Yet again. Catch your breath, Kansas City. It'll have to be on the road this time as the Arrowhead Invitational begins to rotate around the American Football Conference. But the Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Miami Dolphins in the wild card round. They head to Buffalo, where Patrick Mahomes is now undefeated on the road in the playoffs. And this team, with so many unknowns, with so many incomplete parts, and with so many weeks of frustration, the Kansas City Chiefs are going back to the AFC Championship game. Welcome into the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. I am Joshua Brisco. Dylan Michaels on the other side of the glass, and Covell Hudson producing the effort as well. 27-24 and on to Baltimore, but we will not begin looking ahead to the next matchup, at least not very soon here tonight. We'll take your calls, we'll bring you pressers from Buffalo, we'll talk to Matt Derrick, and we'll break down the things that happened in this game, the things that should have happened in this game, the things that should not have occurred, as the TV feed shows sobbing Bills fans and jogging happy Patrick Mahomes, as we saw shots of the Kelsey family suite with Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes being completely eclipsed by a shirtless Jason Kelsey. The vibes for the Chiefs tonight had moments of near perfection. The football, of course, was imperfect. If the Chiefs would have lost this game, if Stephon Diggs catches that deep pass, if Josh Allen finds a receiver in the end zone in the final moments of the game there, we would talk first about the missed opportunities. We would talk first about the missed shots, the fumble through the end zone, the number of ways the Chiefs left opportunities on the table yet again in so many ways that were the story of this season. But typically, history is told by the victors, and in this moment now, we can save the mind-numbing mistakes, the unthinkable frustration that showed up in so many ways. We can defer that just for the time being. Because the way the Chiefs won this game is actually the first story. In so many ways, this quote should have been a loss for the Chiefs. In so many ways, things went as poorly as you'd expect. And then I think we saw two things happen that we had seen one of many times, and one of them we hadn't seen in a very long time. Two things happened in the second half of this game, in the fourth quarter in particular. One thing from each side of the ball. First, I want to talk about the Chiefs' defense. Because for as much as they were gashed up the middle in the running game, and as frustrating as that was, no Derek Nottie in this game, Neil Farrell a healthy scratch, they draft and cut Keandre Coburn, he's not on the team anymore. Mike Pennell and Matt Dickerson are your game day call-ups to help supplement Chris Jones and Tershawn Wharton. Chris Jones has a pretty quiet day. The entire four-man pass rush has a pretty quiet day. Nick Bolton has a pretty rough day. Drew Tranquil, you have a moment or two, but ultimately, the middle of the field, the Bills were able to control for the most part offensively. Until they were out of time. what happened at the end of this game was not perfect. It was not the best version we've ever seen of this Chiefs defense. But the Bills scored a touchdown to take the lead at 24-20 Buffalo. Then the Chiefs forced a 3-and-out and stopped a fake punt. The offense gave it right back and said, please do it again. Then the Chiefs force a 3-and-out and get the punt. The Chiefs gain 8 yards and say, hey, defense, please do it again. And they do allow a 4th down conversion. They do allow a 3rd down conversion. But they eventually force a 44-yard field goal in difficult conditions for a team that has been having questions amongst their special teams. And you're asking the Buffalo Bills kicker to make the field goal to tie this thing up late in the game. And it was ugly. And I don't know what'll happen next week against Baltimore. But the Bills did not get a new high score on the 2023-24 Chiefs defense, held the 24 points. And after they got it to 24, the Chiefs defense did the thing we have seen them do this year. They answered the bell to end the game. It could have been cleaner. It could have been less stressful. But they're going to the AFC Championship game yet again, which is an unbelievable thing to say with total level-headed certainty. I've been here for post-game shows of the Chiefs going to the AFC Championship game being a life-changing moment for a lot of us. Now it's just the thing they do. So the Chiefs defense, issues it had in the first half, stressful moments notwithstanding, the Chiefs defense answers the bell. And the story of this season has been the Chiefs defense, so I think they earned being the first story here tonight. But I'm not sure it's actually the biggest story tonight. I think the biggest story tonight is that you saw Patrick Mahomes in a form and fashion we have not seen him in for a while. Not that he hasn't been excellent, and that him being excellent tonight was some shocking event. Not at all. But tonight it felt like you saw playoff Patrick Mahomes. The ball leaving his hand, the air under some of the deeper downfield throws, going back to Marquez Valdez-Scantling consistently, going back to Travis Kelce, finding Rashee Rice often enough, spreading it out a little bit, not getting a ton of help in a lot of other places. 215 yards passing for Patrick Mahomes is nothing to write home about. 2 touchdowns to Travis Kelce is not a stat line that's going to stand out in the Mahomes era. But this was the most comfortable and competent this offense has looked to me in quite a while. And Mahomes looked like Mahomes. He looked like he was back in playoff mode. And I'm not even sure he's like getting the game ball in terms of individual performances. Mahomes is obviously the best player on this team, the best player in football. He's the most important player on this team, the most important player in football. But Isaiah Pacheco on a surprisingly low 15 carries. The Chiefs also just did not run a ton of plays in this game. 24 runs, 23 carries, wild. 6 of those runs were Mahomes scrambles, by the way. I guess a couple of knees in there, so take that with a grain of salt. But Isaiah Pacheco in this game, 6.5 yards a carry, 15 carries, 97 yards, just under a 100-yard playoff game for Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco, first of all, should have had another touchdown, should have gotten more work, had earned more trust in the red zone. We will eventually talk about the Mecole Hardman play, I promise. As frustrating as it will be, we will talk about it. But Isaiah Pacheco did the thing that I've been wanting running backs to do for Patrick Mahomes, which is to give him an easy answer to complicated questions. And time again tonight, the Chiefs' offense was at its best when it trusted an offensive line that ended up having a nice night overall. Giving the football to Isaiah Pacheco and telling him to make the Bills not want to hit him anymore. Pick on the banged-up linebackers, continue to push into this defense, and be something that this Chiefs offense has not been very often this year. Be exhausting. Be a pain to defend against again. And with playoff Mahomes, with Isaiah Pacheco looking very comfortable in those moments, and explosive and ferocious and a real pain to tackle, Travis Kelce being Travis Kelce, and in this case, Rashee Rice being the third of those three weapons behind Pacheco and Kelce, with obviously Mahomes at the helm of everything. Rashee Rice being a guy, being someone you can go to when you have moments to look for him in. And I said this last week, you're going to need one or two moments from the supporting cast. And against Baltimore, you might need 3 or 4. Well, tonight the Chiefs got 2 moments from Marquez Valdez-Scantling in the playoffs. Absolutely huge. Justin Watson had a bad drop early in the game, and Mecole Hardman had an absolutely unforgivable, crushing mistake, reaching for the goal line on first down, putting the ball in a dangerous position, having it popped out, going through the end zone, giving the ball back to the Bills. That should have been something pretty close to ball game. Can't happen next week if you want to be back in the Super Bowl again. Cannot happen. But tonight in Buffalo, it was exactly enough. The missed field goal, it would have been, almost 2 minutes back to the Chiefs with the football with a chance to go score 3 of their own, trusting Harrison Butker in that position. I think the Chiefs would have taken that game from a tie there to a victory. I'm glad we didn't have to sweat through it because that game was plenty stressful. But man, it was in character for what this Chiefs season has been. Self-inflicted wounds, silly mistakes, the kind of stuff that getting in your own way will cost you. Can you overcome it? Today, MVS was a net positive. He helped overcome the net negative that was Mecole Hardman. The defense held strong in big moments, overcoming how often and how easily they were getting gashed in the middle of the field in the running game. Nobody should have expected this to be easy. Nobody should have expected this to be a blowout. But the Chiefs got their play that they needed in this game from their quarterback. They got just enough from their defense. They got their big 3. Not even to the extent that they got them against the Dolphins, but Rice, Pacheco, and Kelce just have those 3 guys share the workload. And they got the spark from the role players. Again, in this game, MVS, huge. It was just enough to overcome the self-inflicted stuff that got really, really, really close to costing this team a trip to the AFC Championship game. 913-3810-810 is the phone number. We'll take some calls, and then we'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and whoever else speaks at the podium. Again, I am Joshua Brisco. If you want to sound off on the show, you can do it in a whole lot of ways other than just calling in tonight. We got the show live on the Sports Radio 810 video feeds. That's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Hop into any of those video feeds, and you can leave your comments below, and Dylan can check out the comments back there. If you say anything that's really catching Dylan's eye, maybe he'll share it with me tonight. Forget we get to play into the video a little bit. Playoff victories are a fun time to do that. Plus, you can tweet me at JB Brisco or any social media site that currently serves your favorite purposes. JB Brisco. I'm in a bunch of places with a lot of those. Let's go ahead and crack open the phones. We will hear from Andy Reid talking about injuries to a lot of guys. Mike Edwards left with a concussion, ruled out. Willie Gay, neck, ruled out. Joe Tooney at some point was questionable I like tracking jersey numbers from here was impossible, so I don't even know what Tooney ended up, what his sort of splits ended up being. So we'll eventually bring you injury updates and everything there from the Chiefs. I'm sure they're having a good time in the visiting locker rooms in Buffalo. On the road, not a part of the problem there. The Chiefs victorious. They'll head to Baltimore for the AFC Championship game, continuing one of the most impressive runs in American sports going on right now. Really stupendous stuff as the Chiefs keep the streak alive. We'll crack it open with Rodney. Rodney, open us up here tonight on the 810 Postgame Show. How you feeling, Rodney?
I'm about lost my voice.
Yeah, me too, actually. I can feel it going.
I have 3 points. MVS is trying to play for a higher value than he is because he heard that he might not have a career after this. But I'm surprised that he caught those passes. But I got to give a big shout-out to the one man that to me, that deserved the game ball, and that's old Andy Reid. Learning that he is the run game coordinator and how he just used this offensive line and just enforced will upon the Buffalo Bills was magnificent. Chef Chip, love the run game. We're sitting here listening to Romo say, oh, my God, the Bills are just running the ball down the Chiefs' throat and they doing this. But when you look at yards per play, Chiefs almost got over 10 yards per play.
Yeah.
I'm okay. So to me, I'm like, I can sacrifice them running the ball because you technically got two, three running backs on the field at the same time. Josh Allen was not trying to throw that ball against that defense. Against that secondary, he is not trying to throw the ball against that. But I give the one grace I do give the defense. And you went up against a power running team. Now you have to do it again.
Yep.
Derrick was extremely missed. That was an extremely missed. And if he's not in, I'm going to need someone else, another big body to be in there to be able to handle, the run game of the Baltimore Ravens. But I give it up to Patrick Mahomes just being great, just being absolutely great. But I think he knows for a fact he wanted to run the ball more. I think he wanted to keep running the ball, keep running it because they cannot stop the run for nothing. So I give it up to Isaiah Pacheco just being a monster down in the middle. But before anyone else say it, I'm going to say it first. I give good credit to Jawan Taylor and Donovan Smith for imposing their will, not just in the run game, but in the pass game as well. They deserve their credit as well. I'll go ahead and listen off air.
Rodney, I appreciate you, man. You mentioning Andy Heck, I'm glad you did because one thing, I don't know if you also heard that, maybe that's what you're thinking about Andy Heck again, or I just mentioned it from, I think it was Kyle Long on Kevin Clark's podcast this week, and he talked about, he ended up getting hurt. But he spent that year with the Chiefs, and he talked about Andy Heck being the guy that is always running the run game stuff and how much Andy Reid puts in Andy Heck's hands and the combination of what the offensive line did tonight and what the running game for the Chiefs did tonight. Absolutely agree. Huge shout out there. Running the ball at 6 yards a carry, and Pacheco was 6.5. Clyde had 2 carries for 31 yards, and Mahomes' averages are skewed by the knees, I think, here. But overall, absolutely agree with the running game, MVS. Lots of places to give out the credit there. Let's keep it going with Gary. Gary, you're on 810. How you feeling, Gary?
Oh, pretty good. I was a little anxious there for a little while, but as long as we're the team that comes out on top, I'm happy. But just watching that game tonight defensively, I tell you what, I was kind of pulling my hair up because they were just running the ball and screening us to death, and it took us forever to adjust. But basically what it was we were just getting manhandled up front. The defensive tackle room showed its true weakness tonight. And looking ahead to next week, those guys are going to have to bow up because they're going to be needed, especially in number 32 is going to have the game of his life next week. But the offense was very efficient. They had they only punted, once in the whole game? Mm-hmm. They played a tremendous game. They played within themselves, except for when Andy tried to get cute and make sure number 12 got his couple plays in there. And let's see tomorrow. Oh, do you think he'll have a suspicious injury tomorrow and he'll go on IR? That seems to be the pattern when guys do that. So I'm expecting him to go on IR tomorrow. But one guy that got a lot of, pardon the pun after tonight, snowballs thrown at him this season, he had a couple of big catches tonight, and that was MVS. And those 2 catches kept drives going, and they got us first downs. They were only 2 catches, but they were huge catches in that ball game. And this team, they got banged up a little bit tonight. I say rest up, get healthy, and get ready for next week. But defensively, they've got a lot of things to shore up because I've said it all year that this is a one-dimensional defense, and it showed tonight. I know they held them to 24, but, man, it felt like our defense just couldn't get off the field until late in the game. I'll hang up and listen. Great show.
Gary, I appreciate you as always, sir. Yeah, look, offense was efficient. The running game, absolutely. Run defense, I should say, absolutely a concern. Absolutely going to be an issue going into Baltimore. I do think it's a little interesting with the screen game stuff that Buffalo was going horizontal in the passing game, which I think is a little bit of respect for the front four and the pass rush, because when you don't think you can make anything happen downfield, you're not going to have the time. I think that played into it a little bit. I think the Bills' offensive plan had to account for, if we try to make stuff happen downfield, we have to account for Chris Jones. I say all of that noting that when they did try to go downfield, there weren't a lot of big pass rush wins for the Chiefs, so I do think that's a little bit of a mixed bag there. And they're going to need more from the front seven. The D-line, Nick Bolton, all of that going into the Baltimore game, absolutely. And, of course, yes, huge credit to MVS. Let's keep it going. Next up, we got Travis. Travis, you're on 810. How you doing, Trav?
Oh, man, I hate those games. Every time with stinking Buffalo. I don't like watching the game. I mean, I was telling my brother who I was watching it with, like, I just really want this game. If they make it to Baltimore next year, next week, I'll consider it a good season. And Baltimore's clearly the better team, so if they lose, it's not gonna feel like it would if they were the 1 seed and they had it all in front of them and they blew it. So I'm super happy. And as much as we've complained, man, about the year, to be sitting in the AFC Championship game, when are we going to learn our lesson as Chiefs fans? As long as 15's on the field, man, you have a chance. You have a puncher's shot. And I'm super proud, man. The team showed up. The offense played like we know they can play. My biggest thing is I'm not even upset with Hardman, man. I'm not. Like, the guy made a dumb play, but guess what? He's he has no awareness on the field. He's not a football player. Andy Reid keeps giving guys like that the ball because they have talent. They have physical, raw skills, but that's the thing. They're raw. They don't – Pat never would have done that, and if he did, he wouldn't have fumbled it.
Right.
So if we want to win next week, Andy's got to just forget that 12 is on the field. No Tony, no more. I held my breath every time he threw to MVS, and by God, he made a play. My biggest issue for next week, I think they can beat Baltimore. They absolutely have got to figure out the run game. I mean, the D-line just didn't even show up to play. I don't know what. Did you feel that way too? Like the D-line, I felt like they didn't want to be there. They showed up like they just didn't even want to play football. So, but overall, man, Chiefs Kingdom. I know it's been stressful, and I know they got one more to go, but man, this is special, man. This is not Tyler Thigpen back there. They're not 2 and 13 or 14, man. Like, we got one of the best teams in the game and the best quarterback in the game. Enjoy it, have fun with it, and go Chiefs.
Good stuff, Travis. I appreciate you. Here, I want to go ahead and give you my take on this this is my compass going forward. I tweeted about it during the game with the Hardman, Tony, is Sky Moore going to be back, like you alluded to, all of the plays to the other guys. Here's where I will differentiate. If one of those receivers is open downfield, if defenses aren't respecting them, they're open downfield and Mahomes has a chance to get the ball to them, he has to throw it to them. They have to respect that. If MVS is there, Mahomes has to try. If McCole Hardman's open downfield, I know he can't track a football, he has to try. Where I will draw the line pretty firmly is you cannot have plays drawn up for the guys who have not earned your trust. You can't draw up a play where MVS deep shot is really the goal of the play. You can't draw up a play where McCole Hardman going horizontal with the football and stretching for the goal line is the goal of the play. This is a little bit exaggerated here, but every play you run offensively should start with either Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, or Isaiah Pacheco, and really ought to start with two of them. That's where I would be at this point. And then again, backyard football, play breaks down, MVS gets open over the top because the safeties don't respect the deep ball. Take the shot, Pat. Go ahead. Absolutely. I trust Mahomes in those moments to make smart decisions. Do not force the ball into the hands of guys who have not earned that spot. That's where I'm at right now. We need to take a break here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. We'll hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes later on, plus whoever else shows up at the podium. If you're on hold now, we'll get to you pretty soon as well. Got one line open as well, 913-3810810. We'll take a timeout as the Chiefs advance to the AFC Championship game. You've heard that before. A lot of times before, and to Travis's point there, that fact in and of itself is unbelievably special.
City tight ends come in for this snap. First and goal from the 3.
Kansas City needs to get 7 here. After a great drive, they stalled out far too much recently.
Going to go to Kelsey. Got blockers out there. Trying to find an opening and a pylon. And they say touchdown.
Wow, touchdown. What an incredible individual effort by Kelsey. It's a screen, not much room there. And at the end of it, Jackson's on the outside. But you got to give credit to Noah Gray blocking on the edge.
The play was sweet. The score was sweet. That's our sweet play of the game, brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Stop by Andy's Frozen Custard, grab an 87 concrete, and help Travis's 87 and running foundation with every purchase. Do good while eating deliciousness. Andy's, top your day with a smile. The Chiefs advance to the AFC Championship game, something Patrick Mahomes has done every single year as a starting quarterback in the National Football League, something that I hope I never get sick of saying and that never stops sounding absolutely ridiculous, because that is absurd history that Mahomes is making, and they did it this year in the year they really shouldn't have been able to do it by a whole lot of metrics, but they make it happen with the win over the Bills, 27-24. We'll take you live to Buffalo in a little bit when we figure out who's going to be at the podium for the Chiefs, and then later on, we'll bring you Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes as well. I'm going to try to keep through these calls pretty quick here, everybody, so let's keep them pretty tight. We'll try to keep chugging along, and if I got to cut you off to hear from the Chiefs, I apologize in advance. But next up, we got George. George, you're on 810. How you doing, George? I know how you're doing.
I know. Well, keep in mind, that was a little deja vu for me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Ugly.
Other than that, though, George.
Well, sir, but other than that, I'm going to gloat just a little bit, because I know how passionately you don't like the foot in football, and yet the lack of a foot won the game today for you guys.
I'll accept it. Yeah, fair enough. Gloat away.
Yes, sir. So, seriously, though, Josh Allen was running on his own, making good chunks of yardage, and there was a spy out there because Willie Gay was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to come back for Sunday's game?
It's a great question. He showed up with a mysterious neck injury that made him questionable yesterday, and then that's what ruled him out today, so I do not know where that's going to come from. Hoping that we get updates on that soon, because, yeah, he would be very important against Baltimore.
You know, your name almost was a dirty word today.
My name was? Oh, no. Why?
First name.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I understand. Also, everybody's tweeting about Josh Wine now, so I'm just in a really, I'm in compromising positions left and right.
You could be JB, like your email.
And then, yeah, I know, but then I'm Joe Burrow. Like, even I can't win around here.
Hey, good luck. Sir, enjoy your week. It's going to be a fun one.
George, always good to hear from you, man. Cannot wait for next week. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I wish I were there.
I know. I'm sorry, George.
Go Lions. How about that?
How about that? Go, hey, something they can all get behind. Go Lions. Lions Chiefs Super Bowl. We'd sign up for that right now. Sorry about the Cowboys.
You bet.
I'm sorry. Sorry, George. George has a split allegiance, and he frequently goes through difficult times around this time of year, and he calls and talks to me about the Chiefs, and them winning playoff games instead of what keeps happening to the Cowboys. I'm sorry, George. You're one of the only Cowboys fans who I do actually wish something good would happen to. With your football team, right? I hope Cowboys fans live happy lives. Next up, we got Butch. Butch. Hey, how you doing, Butch?
I, much like the Kansas City Chiefs, am still alive. Gentlemen, how about those Chiefs?
How about a Butch?
Cancun on 3. 1, 2, 3. Look, I have to pay a little bit of respect to them before I get off this phone. That was almost over with, guys. I don't think we quite understand. We saw it. It was close to being. I was close to being it. But man, Andy's game plan: get them in condensed formations, make them understand how to pass off passes with that deteriorated interior linebacker play, putting in backups out there who, 1, couldn't run, 2, weren't tackling very well, and 3, weren't very good when they got into zone and passing off different. And that's how you saw. I mean, when is the last time we saw broken coverage from the Bills over the stretch run? They hadn't given up more than 20 points. They got ripped, and it should have been more, McCole Hardman, but I'm not even going to trip on it. Look, savor the flavor on this one, guys. Passes Dan Marino for the 9th most passing yards in NFL playoff history. Passes Drew Brees for the 6th most passing touchdowns in NFL playoff history. I'm talking about quarterback Patrick Mahomes. I almost had to take a second when talking to my father to say, Pop, who can you remember that reminds you of something like what we're seeing right now from all your years of fandom? And he said, son, I'm having a hard time thinking of one. That's how beautiful it is, man. This is something I wish I could pass down if I had kids, pass down to them, because this is worthwhile. I'm looking at Bills fans. I feel for them. They're on cover one right now. I love those guys. Damn, they're shedding tears. Oh, unbelievable. And you did it in their home. They said that this was going to be the reason why the Chiefs lose when we got them on the road. Baltimore, I mean, you know the game plan now. You saw it. You're probably going to be able to run it between the tackles on the Chiefs to a large extent. They get that, but hey, they get that figured out. They get a couple stops against Baltimore. It gets tight, kind of like what they did against Houston. We're not going to fold up like Houston did. And if we get it to the Super Bowl, guys, it's over with. We're getting a third. We're going back-to-back. We're doing what no team has done in this league in the past 2 decades. I promise that. I'll be right back over here cackling in your ear next week. Savor it.
I can't wait, Butch. Appreciate you, sir. Let's go live to Buffalo right now. Nick Bolton at the podium.
Yeah, man. We trust the front. We trust the back end to give the D-line some time. Second-level guys, third-level guys working together and understanding whatever that scheme is or that defense is called. Trusting we're going to be in the right spot at the right time. And not trying to overdo stuff, not trying to force a play. It could have been easy for anybody, especially how the game was going in the first half, to try to force a little bit, and could have led to another touchdown. But stayed the course, kept togetherness, and trusting each other. Going to find a way to get a win. Yeah. I mean, that's just a mindset, man. It's a playoff football atmosphere. I think that's anybody's mindset. I'm pretty sure Miami had the same mindset last week. Yeah. Oh, man, he had a huge game for us, man. He's one of those guys that play multiple positions for us, play some nickel, play some safety, moving around a little bit, and I'm just trying to use his skill set for a young guy to come in and bag scheme. Speaks volumes to his ability to learn. I want to learn, and taking it day by day. Rookie season, I know how it was. It can be long. I could be draining a little bit, but taking it day by day, I'm getting better every single week, man. So I'm proud of him. I know he's going to continue to get better. I'm excited for what he got in store for us next week.
Okay, guys. Thanks, Dave.
Yep, thank you.
There you go, Nick Bolton live from Buffalo here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. Hoping to maybe see if somebody else. I bet we get somebody from the offensive side there as well. And then again, we'll hear from Reid and Mahomes in a little bit. We will also pick up whoever's on the phone right here in a bit as well. Let's go ahead, though, and call this the beginning of our locker room report here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show, presented by Twin Peaks.
The Chiefs Locker Room Report is brought to you by Twin Peaks. No one does football like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, they have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. And don't forget about their 29-degree man-sized drafts at Twin Peaks.
We'll keep rolling on here. Dylan, tell me real quick, does it look like there's still action there in the press room in Buffalo? Like there's still a chance we end up hearing more hoopla?
I'm seeing the great Adam Teicher still lingering about and waiting for someone, it looks like. So I imagine there is...
He would never waste his time.
Some cheese
yes,
to be found.
Yes, absolutely. He would never waste his time there. So we will hopefully hear Teicher ask some excellent questions to somebody on the offensive side. Could be Kelsey, obviously, post-game. I know he's got a pretty big suite to go up into. Isaiah Pacheco certainly earned a podium game. MVS podium game. It's been a long time since an MVS podium game. I'm going to read you this again just because I don't want it to ever get dull or forgotten. And again, Dan and Mark on hold here. We'll get to you in just a second. I just don't want to start with you and then cut you off if somebody shows up at the podium. Patrick Mahomes' first 6 seasons as an NFL starter. AFC Championship. AFC Championship, wins Super Bowl. AFC Championship, loses Super Bowl. AFC Championship. AFC Championship, wins Super Bowl. AFC Championship, to be determined. Folks, I know I've been on my soapbox because I've had the privilege of doing this show for long enough now to have like post-game show memories from each of those games. And I'm not nearly as old as a lot of long suffering Chiefs fans, but I am older than a few now. And there are kids listening right now. Maybe you didn't turn it on yourself, but maybe you're just within earshot. There are children listening and understanding the words I am saying right now who have never lived through a Chiefs season that did not at least reach the AFC Championship game. I am currently wearing a sweater celebrating the 2003 AFC West title. I'm not even the first owner. I found it at a thrift store. Still have the tags on it and everything. Incredible find. But the standard here has been so thoroughly uprooted, turned on its head. What it means to watch the Chiefs, root for the Chiefs, analyze the Chiefs, set up their expectations, has changed in a way that, unfortunately for me here, as at least theoretically a professional talker, in a way that's hard to put into words. Getting to the AFC Championship game in 2018 was amazing and kind of shocking. Watching them win in 2019, or whatever, 2019 season, watching them win in 2019 and advance to the Super Bowl, those are some of the clearest moments I have. The Sammy Watkins against the Titans, and then, of course, Wasp in the Super Bowl. Moments for me that are really, really memorable because they were things that I didn't actually know that I would ever see. I picked the Chiefs to beat the Titans. I had a whole theory about how Derrick Henry was not going to be the guy that beat the Chiefs that day. I predicted it in that moment, but through my whole life, and certainly, watching Sunday Night Football or the playoff runs where you had to have somebody else lose in prime time for the Chiefs to back into a playoff spot. I look at Detroit now, and their run has been amazing, and I'm thrilled for the city. And I'm honestly still, I feel for Buffalo fans because they also deserve a run like this. But I had entire conversations with friends and family that we said, will we ever watch this Chiefs team be in an AFC Championship game? Now we haven't seen them not in an AFC Championship game since Patrick Mahomes took over. Here's Isaiah Pacheco live from Buffalo.
Big, repping that in practice, knowing the situation, understanding what we have to do in that situation is very important for us. Get the first down, win the game, and repetition, it leads to the practice, and that's where you execute it. It's very important to protect the ball. And for me right there, that's the biggest part of the game. Knowing the team was knowing you're going to run it, just cover it up with two hands and allow the O-line to work and be patient. It's very important to start off fast and eliminate distractions. That's what we've been harping on, and that's how we got to keep focusing. And it takes practice to allow us to be great and practice hard. So when we get out here on this field on the first quarter, allow us to be great.
What was it with today's game that you guys seemed to do? You stuck with the running game, and then it started happening for you in the second half.
I just focusing on what Coach whatever he had for us to run. Just not getting too big or, you call this, call that. No, guys were locked in. Whatever Coach calling, we're ready to go. It was big for the bigs up front today, and those are the guys that got this thing rolling for us, and I lean on them, and pretty sure we got a lot of momentum going from them guys.
What is it, even when you have down plays, you guys never seem to get down on yourselves. You guys seem to always.
Yes, we have leaders like Pat and Trav on the sideline. There's a lot of game left. Understand the situation. Understanding we could get down there and score in a few seconds. So don't be so hard on yourselves. Allow the game to come to us and just keep focusing.
That's what makes for your game fun. You can feel that you guys were just starting to make some plays, opening up holes for you.
Play by play. The bad ones, let them go. The good ones, they stick. Hey, but it's all right. We're gonna build off of those bad ones and build off of the good ones. That's what it's all about, and just keep eliminating distractions. We'll be all right.
What was your reaction to the field goal and your vantage point when you saw it?
Like I said, focus on the task and eliminate distractions. That may have been a distraction for them. They weren't focused. For us, just being team players, leaning on one another, looking left and right during that moment. It hit big for us, and it was go time. Thank you so much.
There you have it, Isaiah Pacheco live here on 810 live from Buffalo. We'll either stay in a holding pattern to hear more from the press conference podium, or we'll take a couple of calls we got on the line right now. We may still have somebody else popping up to the podium. We'll see here. Do you see any action right now there, Dylan? Let's go ahead here real quick and go to Mark. Mark, appreciate you waiting on hold, man. What's going on? How you feeling?
Oh, JB, I'm doing great, man. I'm about ready to run through a brick wall. I don't know. Just for perspective, right? I think Butch said it. Bruce. At the end of the game, they were panning to the stands, and there was a grown man crying into his stocking cap. And I'm 50 years old. That used to be me before Mahomes.
Mark, I'm sorry. I apologize for doing the thing I hate doing. Chris Jones has got to the podium, and Dylan said he's in a good mood. Mark, we will come right back to you. Here's Chris Jones.
Week, another opportunity to play this game that we love so much, and full of excitement.
Did you feel some kind of statement made today? I know you guys have dealt with some sense of doubt and coming here on the road one or two times in a few years in the playoffs.
Who has senses of doubt?
You guys hearing senses of doubt?
Yeah. We don't pay attention to what everybody else say about us. We was done when we lost to the Green Bay Packers, per se usual. Everybody always doubt us. So as in paying attention to senses of doubt, quote unquote, we don't care. We still got another opportunity to play in the AFC Championship next week, right?
What does that mean to be a 6th straight AFC title?
A lot of damn hard work. Okay, nothing comes easy, man. Took a lot of commitment from a lot of guys, and in order to be successful, man, you've seen it. You've seen it multiple years over there at the Patriots organization, and not only players, coaches. Take a lot of commitment for coaches, a lot of time away from their family, a lot of long hours at the office, and for these moments like this, man, So for the wives, girlfriends that, miss time with their significant other, this is what it's all about.
Chris, can you take us through how difficult it is to try to contain Josh in the pocket, but then when he does break, try to chase him down the way you did in the fourth quarter?
Just all about being relentless. We know he's a dynamic quarterback, dual threat, who can throw the ball 65, 70-plus yards, but also can break off 50-plus runs. I think you've seen it last week, what he was able to do with his legs. We just try to limit his playmaking ability, especially on the ground. We know we can't stop him, per se, but we can try to contain him.
You did a pretty good job on that late in the game. What changed from earlier?
We made a few adjustments in the locker room on how we was going to rush him, changed up the rushing lanes, changed up the way we rushed him, and we was kind of successful with it. I think we still could have done better, but we was able to get a victory, and that's all that matters.
To that end, Chris, how key was it to contain the edges in trying to contain him and the running game to keep stuff inside?
It was tough. I mean, when you go in gun, you don't know if they're going to run it. You don't know if it pass. Then you got to transition to pass rushing, but also be condescending on your rushing lanes as a player. So all of that's going in a matter of 2.3 seconds, right? So still try to affect the throw and collapse in the pocket. So it's a lot that goes on, and takes a lot of commitment and unselfish play amongst the D-line.
Chris, week in, week out, you guys on defense talk about having different mottos. I talked to a couple guys after today's game, and they said it was walking your track, take over your track. How important was it to get a win here?
It was fun, man. Chance to go play in the AFC Championship again. A lot of guys, this is their second time going, and a lot of guys knew there was going to be a lot of adversity coming to this game. I think we talked about it earlier in the week. Going in a hostile environment, not a lot of people believed in us. and a lot of people doubted us. And I think more so than ever, we kind of believed in each other. We kind of depended on each other. When things went bad, we didn't point fingers. We depended on each other. You see the offense come down there and tell the defense, let's go. Offense get close. We telling the offense, let's put it in. And I think that's what this team is about, man. It's one heck of a brotherhood. That's something I can say about this team. Relentless, and we was able to pull it out.
And Chris, I heard you hammering home that adversity before the game in the tunnel to the teammates before you guys. You think that was the key for you guys, just to break that chip on the shoulder and take all the adversity you went through?
Put it on my chin. It's all okay. No pun intended, though. Pause. Okay. Pause.
Last one, Chris, I think you batted down a ball without even jumping at the end of that first drive.
Sits. They shorted me at the combine. 6'5" 3/4. I'm really 6'6", and I'm really 6'6" and a half with the cleats on.
So for timing that up, holding them to a field goal, that would be a pretty big deal in the game. I mean, how did you actually end that play?
Listen, I was getting double team. I was the nose actually, and we had Tershawn Warren at the 3 tech. And my job was just to collapse the pocket, and if he step up, be in position to chase him. So, and I seen the ball coming out, and I was just like, gave it Shaquille O'Neal swap.
What is it about not pointing fingers? How you guys, as a team, how do you keep the younger teammates in check? Hey,
Because I think everyone take accountability here, and we all understand one play don't make or break a game. It's usually multiple plays to make or break a game, right? So if end of the game, one player drop a ball, it's not just that player fault. Balls are dropped. Pause. Balls are dropped in this league, right? But it's plays prior to that we could have scored on that we didn't score that forced us to be in that moment to have to catch this ball in that particular time. So we kind of understand that as a team. As we don't point fingers. We all understand that there's more plays to be made. And that's how we're just so dependent on each other. Y'all have a beautiful night.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's Chris Jones live from Buffalo with plenty of pausing to do. Just some suspect terminology that he caught himself with there, but overall pretty good. So that'll do it for the pressers there until we get to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in a little bit. Hey, Mark, if you weren't done yet, sorry to cut you off right before the Jones presser, but Mark, if you want to call back in, Dan will get you back to the front of the line. In the meantime, Dan, appreciate you waiting on hold. Dan, tell me how you're feeling, man. What's going on?
Hey, Joshua, I feel great. How about those Chiefs? 6 straight AFC title games. How about those Bills fans? Well, they got their wish. They got the Chiefs what they wanted them, and it didn't do any good. Chiefs didn't make enough plays in the second half. That first half, the defense was a little bit shaky. But I wasn't concerned. Spikes made the adjustments in the second half. I saw one of the Bills fans crying there. Couldn't believe it that the Chiefs did it again to Helen. So a great winning by the Chiefs, and hopefully, and I just get better for the Ravens game next week. Let's beat the Ravens out and go to the Super Bowl. Take care, Joshua.
Dan, appreciate you, sir, as always. So many things have to go right in a situation like this. Ultimately coming around to send you everybody's eyes now. Looking forward a little bit to Baltimore, and we'll see where that lands. Let's go ahead and real quick sneak in Caleb here. Caleb, you're on 810. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, man. I just want to talk to you and throw in real fast. Did anyone not see us beating the Bills tonight?
I picked the Chiefs to beat the Bills, if I'm being honest.
A majority of people picked the Chiefs to beat the Bills, and now we're getting ready to go into Baltimore, and we have their number.
Yeah. Did I lose you there, Caleb?
That's it. We have the number, bro.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I think we will have a very good show here no matter what next week. Caleb, appreciate the call because, I do think this is a different Ravens team. And I think the Ravens' defense is a very different challenge than the Bills or the Dolphins these last couple of weeks. But the matchup should be excellent. The Chiefs have been on the right side of history with Baltimore so far. We'll see where that all meets next week. But right now, the Chiefs, we know, have punched their ticket to yet another AFC Championship game. And it's just the thing they do every year now. And that is absolutely unbelievable. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we will eventually hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. We'll talk to Matt Derrick, and we'll continue breaking down the Chiefs' victory over the Buffalo Bills as they head back to the AFC Championship game after winning tonight in Buffalo 27-24.
Second down, launch, wide open. Kelsey has the touchdown.
Well, you see the busted coverage here, but we talked about where are they trying to throw the ball over and over again, Jim? These out cuts, and you're going to watch. A motion goes back and forth, but Kelsey's going to go and get back into this area.
Mahomes and Kelsey have connected for a touchdown, 15. And it ties Brady and Gronkowski for the most in playoff history.
That was the first touchdown between those two, tying the record. The one you heard earlier broke it. And that right there is our Magic Mahomes moment, brought to you by Champion Heating and Cooling. Keep your family warm this winter with their Champion Premium Furnace. Find your local Champion dealer at championhomecomfort.com. And don't forget to ask about their free 10-year parts and labor warranty. Always leading, never compromising. championhomecomfort.com. Plenty of comfort in that connection from Mahomes to Kelsey. It results in those two scores tonight, and they keep rolling on, taking it next to Baltimore. Really amazing on a variety of levels. One thing here from Adam Schefter. Actually, two tweets I want to read you, and then we will hear from Andy Reid in just a second, right here on 810. First, Donovan Smith tweeted out just a little bit ago. Jason texted me this. He said, damn, Cottonelle, and they shut our hot water off. SMH, it's all good. We got that dub today. Hashtag Chiefs Kingdom. Donovan Smith saying no hot water for the Chiefs in the locker room after the game. Maybe that's what they were talking about when they said Patrick Mahomes had never gone through what it took to play on the road at Buffalo in the playoffs. Maybe that's what they meant. Little did they know, he already has ice water in his veins. So what's a little cold shower going to do? Nothing. Also, in a less fun note, and playing next to Donovan Smith, Adam Schefter tweeting, Chiefs All-Pro guard Joe Thuney will undergo an MRI on Monday for the pectoral injury he suffered during Kansas City's divisional playoff win over Buffalo. Pectoral, obviously, is a muscle you can tear, and that would be incredibly tough to work through. Depending on the degrees of it all, who knows? And Joe Thuney is a Terminator, but torn, we do not know that it's torn. Let me be clear. I'm saying a torn pectoral would obviously be really, really bad news for Thuney with just 1 or 2 games remaining in this season. The good news is Nick Allegretti is this team's third guard, and he is a starting caliber guard in my mind. But he's not Joe Thuney, and losing him would be a big deal. So we'll hear what Andy Reid had to say about that in just a second. And we'll keep an eye on that throughout the week here on 810. We'll keep you updated on anything we hear about Thuney from an injury perspective. Let's go ahead and hear, though, from Andy Reid. He'll open up with his opening statement and the injury report. His press conference is brought to you by Westlake Hardware. Westlake Commercial, a division of Westlake Ace Hardware, is your local business-to-business supply partner. Their commercial team, dedicated business-to-business website, credit terms, and convenience store locations make it easy. Visit your local Westlake Ace Hardware store or westlakehardware.com/commercial today. Let's start from the top with Andy Reid here with his opening statement and talking about the injuries the Chiefs suffered today.
So, listen, as far as the injuries go, Mike Edwards had a concussion in Willie's neck. He tweaked his neck, and that was bothering him. And then Joe Thuney hurt his right pec. So, sure. But are we good back here? You guys good? All right. All-time classic again. Every time we play one of Sean's teams, it comes right down to the end. He's done a phenomenal job here, and a phenomenal job this year. Like Coach of the Year level coaching. And if we don't play them again, we're good with that. But I'm so proud of our guys and the job that they did. Just one heck of a job. You know, the sidelines were so positive, which I thought was important. In this game, you knew it was going to be a tight game just because of the caliber of team they've got, and it was. And our guys just kept their composure through the highs and the lows of the game. They supported each other. Defense started off a little slow, and then they picked it up. I'm so proud of them and the job that they did in that second half. Spags had a great game plan. He made a couple of little adjustments there. The guys did a nice job of that. Offensively, you know, the job that our offensive line did. That's a good group, nine defensive linemen that can play, and they rotate those guys, so you're hitting fresh bodies every time every series that you get them. I thought our offensive line did a nice job. Patrick and Kelsey, with the record that they broke there, Gronk and Tom, I mean, that was a great job there. Kelsey had 2 touchdowns and some big catches. It was great to see Marquez have a game like he did. He's taken a lot of heat, and he just kept hanging in there and came up with some big catches. And then Pacheco. So Pacheco is a beast, works so hard, and then Clyde stepped in and had a couple great plays for us there too. But to put the hammer down at the end with those couple runs and get the first down in the game was a big thing there. So, and then Nagy's game plan, like I said, was so deep on the offensive side, and there was plenty of stuff even left over, and we said we were going to empty the chart today and run everything. We didn't run out of anything. So it was a great job by him. And then Dave Togue, with the exception of not getting Chanel's helmet on for a kickoff, he did a great job. But Chanel came back and ended up getting, stopping the fake that they had. So, but I think that's about it.
There you go, the opening statements from Andy Reid. Then he was asked about a variety of things in this next clip that you'll hear here, going about, everything from turning potential field goal stalls into touchdown drives, the adjustments the defense made in the second half. But first here, asked about the fumble into the end zone by McCole Hardman, the rule, the execution, everything that went into that play.
Well, listen, he's had so many big plays for us over time. And on that play, but you can't reach out. That's he was trying, so you give him the effort, but we know that you can't do that down there because of that reason. So you got to protect that football, and he'll be better for that.
Hey, what happened in the second half with your run defense? Because they seemed to run a lot more effectively in the first half, and it changed.
Yeah, so I thought the guys. The technique. Joe was emphasizing using the hands, separating, and making sure they could see things. They were getting tied up in these physical matches with these guys, as opposed to separating and using their speed to take care of business, and at the same time controlling their gap. And then I thought our linebackers, whether it was Bolden or whether it was Drew, made some big plays. Chanel made some big plays. Our safeties, you saw Reid step up and had some nice hits there.
And you've been kicking some field goals lately. You turn those into touchdowns later in the game. How were you able to do that?
Yeah, well, we missed a couple, there. So we had a couple that Pat wanted back. He was so mad on corner routes, but he came back and fixed that and did some nice things. And we've got to make sure we score. We got to make sure we're putting them in the right positions. I thought we could have been better. I told you that I went back and looked at all that, and that's it. The coaches, and we just gotta make sure we're putting them in the right position, and guys make plays, and the other guys make plays down there.
It was better at times. They had issues as well. Of course, as he says, you can't reach for the end zone there. That back to the first question about what happened there with Hardman. He says, he's made a lot of plays. Look, this is a team that has Patrick Mahomes and then 3 offensive weapons he can go to consistently. We'll see where it goes beyond that. Also, some breaking news of our own here. Something to put in mind for you next week. On Sunday, you can listen to the AFC Championship game right here on your home for the NFL, Sports Radio 810 WHB. That's right, Chiefs-Ravens right here on 810 on Sunday. And then, of course, we will be live with you as soon as everything goes final there. So that will be a blast. You get to hear so many great calls all year long. And then once we get to the conference championship games and Super Bowl, you get to hear them right here on 810. So Chiefs-Ravens on your home for the NFL, Sports Radio 810 WHB. That's coming up on Sunday. One more chunk of audio here from Andy Reid, going from cleaning up the execution and what the Chiefs did today altogether, and him talking about Travis Kelce's day. But first, talking about the offense, cleaning some things up.
Yeah, that and the plays that I was dialing up at that time. We've got good plays. It's just how where you dial them up.
You talk about Travis Kelce a little bit, 2 touchdowns today, but you go back, I don't know, 8 games or whatever, and had not had the scoring production anyway that we'd seen before. What was there for him today?
Yeah, and they had a plan for him. I mean, they were bringing in 33 there for a couple series and having him play man and then put a guy over the top. But listen, I thought Kels just did a nice job. I think that time off that he had there before the last game and into that last game helped him. He benefited from that. He was banged up a little bit, and he was able to kind of get over that and get himself back.
There you go, Andy Reid in pretty good spirits, although I've seen some of the clips from the locker room. I haven't gotten to listen to him because, we're doing a radio show right now, but some of the scenes from the Chiefs locker room, pretty amped from Drew Tranquill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Travis Kelce, Tranquill obviously being the guy, Aminahu, Malik Herring. I just kind of going through all the guys that are looking the most excited to be here. Mahomes, certainly there in the mix. But you think about, in fact, our friend Craig Stout at KCSN tweeted out, imagine being Drew Tranquill right now. You've been perennially picked to be in this exact situation and never gotten here. Then you come be a part of this. And that really is a very cool part of this entire story of guys like Tranquill and obviously Rashee Rice as a rookie. And somebody else tweeted a little bit ago, and I didn't grab who it was who made this point. But Rice was clearly the third of three of the big three weapons of Kelce and Pacheco and Rice. I mean, MVS ended up with more receiving yards today than Rice did. That's not the only metric, certainly. But Rice, remember, he came up after getting sandwiched and looked like he took a shot to the ribs. He was looking a little bit gimpy after that, and I believe what somebody just pointed out was that he only had one catch after that one. So certainly hope, and at this point, expect that he'll be in good shape next week for Baltimore. But think about Rashee Rice going through all of that and needing even more guys to step up in his stead and trying to spread the wealth a little bit that way. The Chiefs get it done, get the victory, and Andy Reid is going back to the AFC Championship game yet again. Patrick Mahomes played his first game on the road in the playoffs, and he has never not made an AFC Championship game. We'll take a timeout when we come back. We'll hear from QB1 what Patrick Mahomes had to say after the Chiefs beat the Bills 27-24.
at the 4, 1st and goal, deep in Buffalo territory. Mahomes in the gun. 4-man front. There's the shotgun snap. Handoff Pacheco. Knifing his way. Touchdown. He gets in over the left guard. He just had a burst, and it gives Kansas City 6. Touchdown run, Isaiah Pacheco. That's the 5th lead change, and the Chiefs lead it 26-24.
The go-ahead touchdown, Isaiah Pacheco's touchdown, and our play of the game for you right there, brought to you by the Central Bank of the Midwest. At Central Bank of the Midwest, every customer is a first-round draft pick. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC. Pacheco was stupendous in this game tonight. Really relied on in so many ways on the ground, and as we've talked about early in the season, many stops along the way this season, gave the Chiefs an easy button, something they could go back to consistently and say, hey, what can we do that maybe doesn't have this offense living and dying on Mahomes being perfect, the offensive line not being able to make a mistake, finding your wiggle room along those self-inflicted wounds. Pacheco has really made life easier for this offense, and he was fantastic yet again tonight. We will chat with Matt Derrick about what he saw in this game momentarily, but first, it's time to hear from the quarterback. Patrick Mahomes was at the podium just a bit ago, and his press conference is brought to you by Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC and Olathe Kia. Brought to you by Brogdon. Get a worry-free money-back guarantee on new vehicles when you buy from Brogdon. Visit BrogdonAutomotive.com. Mahomes driving the offense all night tonight. He opened up by answering a pretty simple question, kicking off this first back and forth you'll hear. How fun was that?
Yeah, that was fun. I love Arrowhead, but it's always fun when you get to come together as a team and really just be like y'all versus everybody and get the win. So it's always great to be in great environments and find a way to get a win.
Might just be the idea of turning field goals into touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean that's important. We knew it was gonna be important because how good Josh is and how good their offense is. That we were gonna have to turn some of these field goals into touchdowns. Whenever we did have field goals, Harrison knocked them through. I mean, those were some tough field goals into the win. And then we were able to execute and score touchdowns. Obviously, I missed both the corner routes, one to Travis and one to MVS. But other than that, I thought we did a great job of executing the red zone.
How about MVS's game?
Yeah, I mean, they play a lot of man coverage, and when you play man coverage in playoff football, and they put that much attention on Travis, and they have a little attention on Rashid as well. Other guys got to make plays, and we've seen MVS in playoff games make a lot of big plays happen. And no matter what's happened all year long, he's kept the mindset and the mentality that he's going to keep working and working for moments like this. And he did a great job, made some big-time catches, and had a big game.
I mean, getting that from MVS in this game the year he has had is absolutely ridiculous and perfectly fitting because somebody has to step up outside of just those big three, and tonight it was MVS and a couple of big plays, really, really huge, and it got a perfect way for him to get a little bit of redemption for the year that has been. Then Mahomes goes on to talk about, winning on the road a little bit more, how the Chiefs have been so efficient on the road. But first, what did he say to Josh Allen after the game?
Yeah, man, it's a heck of a year, man. I've been on the other side of that. It's tough. You put in so much effort and work every single game to play in these playoff games, and he played his tail off and gave them a chance to win the game. We were just able to come out with the win in the end. But that's two great football teams, two great offense and defense and everything going at it, and we were able to come out on top this week.
Patrick, this was the first one on the road in the playoffs. Some people were wondering how you guys would handle that. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, I think guys took it as a challenge. I'll say that we played the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. We lost that one. I didn't like to bring that one up, but we've played basically road playoff games before. We just come in with the same mindset. If we're going to come together, put our best foot forward, and see if we can come out with a win. That takes the mentality throughout the week. It takes every single play executing. And we did a great job of that today, and we were able to score enough to win.
Why have you guys been so efficient on the road over the years?
I think it's that guys come together. I love being Arrowhead. I love being Arrowhead and playing in front of that crowd. But when you're on the road, it's you versus them. It's you versus everybody in the stadium. You have to come together as a team, and the guys do that. And you saw that in the game today. I think that's why I spoke well. Through 3 quarters offensively, we were moving the ball up and down the field, but we got shut down in the 4th quarter. And I went over to the defense and I told them, I said, y'all shut it down, and we'll win this football game. We'll go to the AFC Championship game. And they did. They going into that fourth quarter, and I told them next time I'll try to tell them earlier. If I can tell them like halftime to do that, and they're going to shut them out from there. No, but it was a team win, and that's what you need in playoffs.
That's true. I mean, that's not. It's not just pleasantries or just coach speak and cliches and everything. You really do need both sides of the ball to show up there, and the Chiefs got that from each side of the football today. You had the offense doing enough, breaking the 24-point barrier that has often kind of been a pretty safe watermark for the Chiefs this year. I guess just the one exception, right? Going back to the Packers game. But the Chiefs did enough offensively. They got enough from their defense. It was not easy. It was not dominant. But it was a victory that sends them to the AFC Championship game. Next here, again, talking more about playing in Buffalo, the day of Travis Kelce breaking that playoff record we played you the highlights for earlier. But first, what is it like from Mahomes' perspective? Is he able to appreciate epic games like this one in the moment?
I do, honestly. Every time I go up against Josh, I know that it's going to come down to the end, just because of the competitor that he is and the player that he is. Same when I go against Joe, when I go against Lamar, all these guys. And I know how much fire they have, and they're not going to give up to the very end. And you appreciate that stuff. I mean, these are the games I watched growing up. The great quarterbacks going up against each other with great football teams, great organizations. And that's what I remember. So hopefully I'm making, like I said earlier in the week, hopefully we're making those memories for other little kids that are growing up watching football.
Jared. Hey, Patrick, you and Travis combined for a record, passing Brady and Gronk. How special was that? What was the plan, I guess, for Travis in this game?
Yeah, no, we always emphasize getting the ball to Travis, but passing anything that has Brady and Gronk in it is special, because those are two of the greatest players. I mean, Tom is the greatest player and one of the greatest tight ends of all time, and so those are great and postseason players. And so to be mentioning that and passing that, you appreciate that. It speaks to Travis and his work, and being able to go out there and make plays in big games. But we always emphasize getting Travis the ball. He did a great job of getting himself open, and then once they started putting a lot of attention on him, other guys like MBS made plays. And so that's what it takes. It takes everybody. Everybody's got to make plays in order to win playoff games.
Sam. Patrick, I know you love Arrowhead, but were you excited for the challenge to play away?
I was very excited. Honestly, it wasn't even like a negative thing. It was going to be a great environment. Being in here in Buffalo, I'd heard about it. Obviously, I played here, but not with the fans. I knew the fans were going to be rowdy, it's going to be hostile, but you appreciate the greatness of organizations and going in week in and week out and packing the stadium and being fans. I mean, that's what it's all about. And so I obviously love playing at Arrowhead, but it is cool to go on the road in a playoff game and be able to come out with it.
I think that's the only part of the whole like Mahomes on the road story that really did anything for me this week, is that it is different, and I can see it being exciting in that way, like to have the chance to go on the road and to be the person that fills the stadium with surrender cobras. You know, fans with the hands on their heads, like making their arms in the sort of hood of a snake, the surrender cobra. Or you saw the Bills fans weeping as the Chiefs left the field, winning that game, as the field goal goes wide right at the end. I imagine that there are two very different kinds of incredible emotional feelings being the quarterback of the football team that either sends your home stadium erupting with joy or brings an opposing stadium crumbling down in silence. And I really do believe that Mahomes was excited for the opportunity to test out that second one, and they did exactly that tonight. One more clip here from Mahomes talking about the communication, the noise in Buffalo, the AFC Championship game streak. All of that follows first, him talking about throwing touchdowns to Travis Kelce.
Yeah, no, I missed two corner routes. One, I let it drift inside a little bit, a little bit with the wind. And then the other one, I let it drift past MBS, but I thought that was going to really hurt us because how their offense was playing. But we were able to get back to it. It was actually different coverage, and they just ended up dropping Travis and kind of eyes the guy to the corner to the out route, and then gave it to Trav wide open. And so I knew I couldn't miss that one as I thought right at his face.
Pat, was by last two.
Patrick, what does it mean to be in an AFC Championship game for a sixth straight year?
Yeah, I mean, you appreciate it. You really do. I mean, just to run, to be a part of this organization, and to be in the AFC Championship game. I mean, that's what you try to do every single season. Why you work in OTAs, why you work out in the off season and come and grind every single day. And we know it's going to be a great challenge, but our goal is to get to the Super Bowl, and that's going to take everything we have this next week, because this is a great Ravens team that we're going up against.
You good?
Pat,
Last one, bye.
okay, Patrick, on your second half opening pass to Marquez, he said there was a whole lot of stuff that you guys couldn't communicate because of guys on defense that give your signals. Can you just take us through how you guys did communicate on that play and the meaning of that play?
I think he just knew when I was yelling at him. I was trying to yell at him to let him know, but I didn't want to signal. They got like 2 ex-Chiefs quarterbacks over there. I've changed the signals a lot, but I was a little worried that they would have an idea of what we were doing, so I was kind of like mouthing it to him because he couldn't hear me. I mean, luckily he ran what I wanted him to run and made a heck of a catch on it.
And that play, I mean, what does it speak to about your communication with him and how it helped you guys get things started in the second half?
Yeah, man, I got trust in 11 men. I mean, he comes to work every single day, and even though he's gotten some hate from outside the building, we trust him and love him here, and we know he's gonna make big plays whenever his number's called. And he did that today in a big game, and we're gonna try to carry that momentum in the next week.
I mean, look, when you're getting the MVS, I think he knew what I was yelling, even though he couldn't actually hear it. There's a heat check for you for what this Chiefs offense has brought. I mean, that right there is legitimately special. That everything that has come through this season, all of the times we have heard Mahomes talk about trust in 11, wanting to keep going back to Marquez, all of those things. Tonight, he had to do it again. He did it again. And on the biggest stage so far this season, MVS hauled it in. He made Mahomes right. He justified that trust. They were able to stay on the same page, and the Chiefs go back to the AFC Championship game yet again. It's an unbelievable streak, a historic run, and a tremendous place to be in. But it's where we're at right now here in Kansas City, the center of the NFL universe. Weirdly not hosting the AFC Championship game this time, but going back to it, this time in Baltimore. And it seems like Patrick Mahomes is just fine taking this show on the road. I'm going to go ahead and we heard from Isaiah Pacheco a little bit earlier. We played you his touchdown. I'm going to make him the recipient of the green light here today. Pacheco, Mahomes, Kelsey, MVS, even Rashee Rice, some of the guys on the defense. There are plenty of people who could have earned this. It's really a team award tonight in a lot of ways, but I am going to give the green light to Isaiah Pacheco for his performance tonight. 15 carries for 97 yards, 6.5 yards per carry. Also caught a pass, getting him over 100 yards all-purpose tonight. He gets the green light, brought to you by Green Light Dispensary. Outstanding customer service, superior product, and continuously voted Missouri's best. Open 7 days a week. Find a location near you today at greenlightdispensary.com. We'll take a timeout and come back and chat with Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. What did he see in this game tonight? We'll break it all down with Matt next in the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show.
Tyler Bass will try a 44-yard field goal to tie. The wind at his back. The snap is good. The ball put down. The kick is up. No good. Wide right. Wide right. The Bills kicker missed a field goal. Wide right. Jubilation for the Chiefs sideline. 1:43 to go. Bass missing wide right from 44.
He pushed it right. It looked like he wanted it to hook in from the right post, and I don't know if it was the wind or he mishit it, but it just violently moved right like a slice in golf.
Nobody better than Kevin Harlan, and that, we may have to fudge the definition a little bit, but that is our defensive play of the game, brought to you by Schlegel Fence. Josh, is that really defensive? It's sort of special teams-intensive, isn't it? Well, I'm talking about fence, defense, Schlegel Fence. And it's a heck of a special teams play. As the Chiefs had the fake punt stopped earlier on, they get a little help from the wind, from the slice, from the effort, from the defense leading up to that point. I stand by the decision. That's our defensive play of the game, brought to you by Schlegel Fence. Schlegel Fence, as Kansas City's preferred fence company, has been serving the KC metro areas for over a decade, offering security and style. Call 816-863-6159 or go to schlegelfence.com for your free estimate. Drew Tranquil has tweeted, and I did not think that that was necessarily going to be a thing that was going to lead into me reading anything interesting tonight. I don't know how often Drew Tranquil tweets, but he tweeted tonight. He tweeted, "I caught the snowball. If it didn't break in my hand, it was getting launched right back at him. We'd beat them in a snowball fight, too. Truth is, my 4-year-old throws a meaner snowball than Bill's Mafia." Hashtag Chief Kingdom. I don't know what the velocity that Matt Derrick can deliver a snowball at is, but I know it's time to talk to him right now. Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com and the 41 is the Mic podcast with Nick Jacobs with KSHB 41. Matt Derrick in the postgame show is brought to you by Cap One Lending. The Freedom Loan at Cap One Lending is the exclusive loan that lets you helps you pay off your home in less than half the time and gives you access to your home's equity without having to refinance. Go to CapOneLending.com. That's CapOneLending.com. Matt, never a dull moment, but after all of this, everything the Chiefs have delivered so far this season, they're going back to the AFC Championship game yet again.
Yeah, I mean, just exactly as we all thought all season long, right, Josh? I mean, never a doubt any step of the way, right?
I had some doubts and some concerns. You know, I did know that MVS was going to have a nice 60-some-yard game in the divisional round to help them punch their ticket. I mean, we all knew that was going to happen.
Well, of course. I mean, it's playoff MVS. I mean, he's a shark. There's no doubt about that. I mean, this team. I mean, we've been, I think, talking about it and consistently have been saying for a while. A first-round flameout wouldn't have surprised us. A trip to the AFC Championship game, the trip to the Super Bowl wouldn't surprise us. I mean, this team just has had a wide range of possible outcomes all season long, and now we're seeing kind of fruition of it. They're playing their best football at the right time, especially offensively. We'll see if it goes how much further they can take it, but this is a team right now that's doing what they have to do to get where they want to be.
What's the story tonight for you? What's the first one, at least? There are plenty of places that I think tell the story of this game altogether, but your lead from tonight is what?
To me, I think it's just a continuation of something that we've seen over the last month, which to me is Patrick Mahomes embracing the role of game manager, but just taking it to a higher level. That was a darn near perfect performance tonight. I don't think that there was really any mistakes that you could quibble with. I mean, did he miss a receiver? Maybe at some point, but I don't think it's worth arguing about. His decision-making was on target. The numbers weren't gaudy, but they were brutally efficient. And the one thing that he wants to do more than anything, and as much as I say it was a game-managing performance, the thing that stands out the most to me is that the one thing that this team had the most trouble doing all season long was throwing the ball downfield And over 20 yards tonight, Mahomes was 4 of 4 for 4 of 4 for 84 yards and a touchdown. And Josh Allen on the other hand, 0 for 4. That to me is the difference between those two quarterbacks. That was it tonight.
Let's wax poetic a little bit then. You know, you're a writer and everything, so go ahead and write verbally for us, I suppose. Because in all seriousness, like the Chiefs' entire existence pre-Mahomes, AFC Championship games felt like crazy aspirations. In most years, they felt like mockery. It was just like, well, that's just not something we're going to have to worry about, you know, playoff football in late January. And now, literally, since Mahomes got to town, he has not had his season end before an AFC Championship game. Can you put that into some form of context?
I really can't, because it absolutely defies reason and logic to me and an understanding, because I'm not used to this. I mean, I grew up, you know, during the 80s and 90s. I mean, my earliest memories of the Chiefs are, you know, I was born 2 months after the 1971, or actually 2 months before the 1971 game against the Dolphins that went into double overtime. And by and large was pretty much the closing of the first great dynasty of the Chiefs era of the 60s. When, hey, they were arguably one of, if not maybe the best team of the AFL, and had an absolutely amazing team of future Hall of Famers. And, you know, then there was that one brilliant year, Joe Montana in 1993. You dreamed that maybe the Chiefs could go to the Super Bowl because they were in the AFC Championship game against Buffalo, at Buffalo. And, you know, ever since then, until the Patrick Mahomes era began, the strongest memory of my Chiefs era was watching Joe Montana, you know, with his head in his hands in Buffalo, trying to remember what day it was after getting concussed on the concrete of that god-awful turf that Buffalo used to have back in the day. So that to me was it. I mean, the idea that the Chiefs could go to 6 AFC Championship games, I'm still not sure it's real. Yeah. I mean, I imagine I'm going to wake up tomorrow and Thanos will have flipped his fingers and I'll find out that no. I mean, Buffalo took Patrick Mahomes at number 10 in the draft, and they've gone to 6 AFC Championship games and are playing Baltimore next week for trying to get a third ring. I mean, it just seems absolutely unreal at times.
Yeah, it really does, and it's something that I know I'm a broken record on, but I will just keep being a broken record on the topic of, like, holy bleep, this is all ridiculous, and please don't overlook, you know, 6 in a row because 6 in a row becomes sort of normal. None of this was ever normal until those 6 years ago, and it still seems absolutely ridiculous. What about the defensive side of the ball for you tonight? I mean, obviously, the middle of the field and the running game were both problems, and problems hand in hand for the Chiefs defense for long stretches. And then after the Bills got what ended up being their last score of the night, the Chiefs did everything you could ask, I think, defensively, despite a couple of plays being very, very close to putting the game back in Buffalo's favor. What do you say about the winding road the Chiefs defense took tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of consistent with what happens with this defense. I mean, there have been times that they've had rough first halves, and this was another one. They gave up 17 points in the first half, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, maybe this is the night that the Chiefs defense kind of gets beat a little bit. But I assumed and believed that Steve Spagnuolo and his staff was going to come up with some adjustments in the second half, and they do that. And what happens? They give up 7 points. That's what they've been doing all season. If an offense has been able to figure them out in the first half, they go back to school, figure out what's going wrong, diagram up some solutions, and do things differently. And that, you know, first drive of the second half, you see them come out, and, you know, they're playing a lot of 4-3. They've got Leo Chenal, who's, you know, spying Josh Allen. I mean, they were mixing things up. And then that ground game that, you know, Buffalo was running the ball so effectively absolutely shut down in the second half. I mean, that to me is just, once again, this defense is so resilient. I mean, I'm not sure that certainly, even though Kansas City's had some good defenses, and in the 1990s there were some great defenses that they had back in those days. I'm not sure if this isn't the best Chiefs defense in a half century. I mean, we might have to go back to the 60s and start, getting Buck Buchanan and Buddy Bell out there, starting to figure out, who Bobby Bell. You start getting all those Hall of Famers out there. I mean, because there are probably a bunch of Hall of Famers on this defense too. You get enough rings and you play long enough, there's going to be some guys on this defense wearing gold jackets, Chris Jones among them. This defense is just so resilient. They even if they get got, they seem to find solutions. We've not yet seen the game where this team just really gets beat defensively. They're still the only team in the NFL all season hasn't given up 30 points in the game. They stiffened once again against the Bills this time and keep them down. And once again, I mean, as my cohort on my podcast, Nick Jacobs, keeps saying, you get to 25, Chiefs are going to win. I mean, that's all it takes. 25 points in the game, that's a winner. And tonight, Chiefs got up there. They got to 25. They get the win.
And we even saw it from the special teams in this game. I was nervous when, Dave Tobe talked about this all being return season going back to the Dolphins game because, the cold air affects the football, and the Bills for a little bit look like they may end up having a left-footed punter, and instead they run out their injured punter, and the Chiefs don't end up with the, muff punt that kills you. They do get the fake punt stuff. They do have, and I don't know how much effort on their side was to be blamed or thanked for the miss at the end, but it really, ascending coach speak and quarterback speak, this really does feel like it's a game where all angles of the team, all sides of the ball, get legitimate credit for keeping everybody else in it, and then the fourth quarter, all three phases get their hand on the ball. No pun intended.
And, there's probably some arguments that the Bills fans would make and Bills observers would say, as far as opportunities they had to win this game, and certainly, even the field goal at the end, there's a chance that you could just get the tie and get it to overtime. Who knows? I think I look at it the other way, though. I think I saw, there were a few opportunities that the Chiefs missed to just put this game away.
Yep.
And that might be the one takeaway, the nervous takeaway you walk away from this game from the Chiefs standpoint and say is that, you know what, they didn't take advantage of all their opportunities. As good of a game they played, they left some plays on the field. McCole Hardman left a play on the field. You nearly get a turnover there in the second half. If you just maybe fall on the ball rather than trying to make a bigger play, maybe you get that turnover. There's two plays right there that certainly at least cost the Chiefs 7 points, maybe more. Maybe they're able to take that turnover and convert that into points, and suddenly, all of a sudden, the Chiefs maybe put 34, 38 on the board. You're all of a sudden you're just feeling completely different about the outcome of this game and their chances going to next week. So, like I said, it wasn't necessarily a perfect game for me, but it was the best probably overall outcome for this team as far as all three phases in a long time.
I think it is explicitly an imperfect game. There's no way around it. That there were opportunities left. There were very close calls. There were shockingly frustrating moments. Let's circle around a couple of those real quick. Obviously, the Hardman fumble through the end zone is just the kind of thing that nightmares are made of. But when you do look at the self-inflicted wounds we've talked about so many times, we talked about this going into the Dolphins game, saying, hey, you don't have to play perfect football, just cleaner, and they did. Coming into this game for me, it wasn't, hey, you don't have to be perfect football, but cleaner than the Dolphins game even. The Chiefs absolutely could have ended this game much earlier than they did, but the fact also that it's like a Justin Watson drop early and then Hardman's mistakes later on, if they just keep running this offense through Rice, Kelsey, and Pacheco, and I think Rice only had one catch after he came up gimpy, kind of holding his ribs. I don't know if they're going to win in Baltimore next week, but if things are planned for Mahomes, Kelsey, Rice, Pacheco, I think that is sustainable. I don't know, but it doesn't make the fumble through the end zone any less frustrating.
No, but, and we talked about this, I think, from the Zone on Friday, that, hey, the Chiefs have a triumvirate right now. It's not just, and I think that's the key, is that this is not just Mahomes trying to put this offense on his back and take it as far as he can. It's Mahomes realizing that he's got three cohorts that are really good, that he can lean on, that he's leaning on Travis Kelce. He's leaning on Rashee Rice. He's leaning on Isaiah Pacheco. It kind of reminds me of the good old days of, your best friend, Troy Aikman, the triplets in Dallas. It's kind of that little group that he's got right now that he can lean on. And it doesn't have to be, we have to accept that there are some flaws that this team has. One of the flaws that they have, and I don't think it's entirely their fault. Some of it is that defenses have a pretty good plan about what to do against the Chiefs to try and take what they do best away. And so this is not necessarily a Chiefs offense that is, one, built, and two, complementary football-wise. This is not, if this offense was putting up 400 yards a game, that'd probably be great. But I tell you what, I bet the defense would be giving up a lot more yards too, because that would not be complementary football to what this defense is doing. Even today was not necessarily great complementary football, because there was a very big imbalance between the number of plays run between these two teams, and that could have been costly.
Yeah.
Because, you get your defense out there for, 80, 90 plays, which the Chiefs were close to doing. That's just a recipe for disaster. You keep your defense out there long enough, they're going to get worn out, and they're going to get beat. Now you're just hoping that, maybe that the wear down that they got today doesn't haunt them next week. It's just, being too much work tonight to get that win. And now you go up against maybe an even more physical, punishing offense next week against Baltimore, and that hurts you. We'll see. But and then remember, the Ravens will have an extra day of rest. So we know how big that is, especially Chiefs had 2 days of rest, and it certainly looked to help them out tonight. We'll see. But that could have been a disaster, but they dodged that bullet. And, like I said, both teams could probably make an argument that they left plays on the table. And you're right. Two things can be true. This can be the best all-around game that the Chiefs have played in quite a while, and they still left plays on the field.
Yep. I think that's true, and it is hilarious to note that the Chiefs and Bills played almost perfectly balanced football in terms of run-pass splits between the two. This is including 6 Mahomes runs for the Chiefs and obviously 12 Allen runs. But counting the quarterback runs, Allen often designed, Mahomes often not, and I think including some kneel downs, the Chiefs ended up with 23 pass attempts and 24 runs, which balances off nicely with the Bills, who had the same number of passing attempts and rushing attempts, but they had 39 apiece. They had 39 passes, 39 runs. The Chiefs 23 passes and 24 runs. Again, I think that's counting the kneel downs and all of that as well. So that imbalance is wild. And again, the Chiefs could have put this thing away a whole lot earlier. It's crazy, a crazy and appropriately weird game, you could say.
You may have talked about this, but someone else alerted to me this. I just have to bring it up. The Chiefs, until that kneel down at the end, had only faced 4 third downs all night long.
That's amazing. I did not
know
that.
That is absolutely unreal. They were only 1 of 4 on those third downs. But the fact that they never needed a third down, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, that is unreal. There were a couple of drives where I wrote down, what the third down situations were. Man, they're not even getting the third down very often. But 4 up until the kneel downs is wild.
Yeah, absolutely crazy to me. But you're right. They didn't. And that comes back to the play imbalance. The Bills, I think, had 5 drives of 11 or more plays, and the Chiefs only had 1 drive that went 10 plays. Everything else was less than 10 plays. But that was just how, when you're averaging 9 yards a play, you don't need third downs. You don't have long drives.
I got 2 things for you, Matt. Here's your penultimate question. First, looking ahead to Chiefs-Ravens next week, lines open up here at Chiefs +3 in Baltimore. A little bit of plus money line, all of that. But we don't know about Joe Tooney. We know we're waiting on an MRI on his pec still. Mike Edwards enters concussion protocol. Willie Gay with a neck. I don't know if we know where that came from. That popped up yesterday. But real quick, we don't need predictions or anything, but where should Chiefs fans be at right now in terms of the Chiefs going to Baltimore next week?
If the odds makers are talking about a 3-point line in favor of the Ravens, one thing that tells you is that they view this a game as a toss-up.
Yeah.
That's 3 points to the home team. So, and I think that's about right. I mean, and I think that's at this point, I think that's an acknowledgement of what Vegas and the odds makers think of the Chiefs, and that's respect. I know people would probably say, "Hey, the Chiefs are in their 6th straight AFC Championship game, defending champs. Why aren't they the favorite?" Well, they're on the road against a really good team that had a better season than they did, and the odds makers are saying that it's a coin toss. I think that probably is respect. Yeah. Now, that's not the way that I'm sure the Chiefs will spend it in the locker room this week, because they clearly embraced the underdog role this week, and they definitely embrace being the villains. And we'll see. I mean, if they can spark another fan base to come after them this week. That's all the motivation I think that this Chiefs team needs, because that's probably an under-discussed aspect of this game. And I know maybe it's getting a little bit of attention, but there's no doubt. I mean, especially you look at some of the interaction that Chris Jones was having with Bills fans even before the game, and then at the end of the game when that Chiefs defense was just kind of facing off against the Bills Mafia. There's no doubt. I mean, they wanted to take it out on that fan base tonight, and they did. And so we'll see if this Chiefs team can figure out a way to pick a fight with the Ravens flock, or whatever they call themselves this week.
Last thing, when was the last time you were drunk enough you took off your shirt?
Technically never.
Yeah.
Because I've just never been that drunk, man.
Yeah, I don't think I have either, and I didn't think you had either. But I felt like if there was a time, can you envision? Here's where I'm at. I am now kind of envious of. I don't want to be the shirtless guy at a freezing cold football game just to show how tough I am. But Jason Kelce shirtlessly photobombing pictures of Taylor Swift in the suite is the funniest thing maybe to come out of this entire NFL season. It's truly unbelievable that the photos and everything of Kelce in the suite, out of the suite, climbing in and out of the suite. All absolute art, and I'm a little bit envious of that circumstance. I don't know that I'm ever going to have a chance to do anything that cool.
No, I mean, I know I won't, and I definitely won't look as cool because I don't quite have the dad bod NFL physique that Jason Kelce does. So if I took my shirt off and started celebrating like that, man, it would not be something anybody wants to see. But I did almost take a screenshot of that and just tweet it with the message, this is me if Mizzou ever wins a national championship.
Okay, so that's what I want right there, is setting the line of what is it going to take. So now we know I'm not a particular Mizzou fan. I tend to root for, I want you to be happy. I will also shirtlessly celebrate a Mizzou title with you if that's what it takes.
Well, I mean, I've made this claim, and I think it tells you how much faith I have in this claim coming true. That I will streak through power and light if Mizzou ever wins a national championship.
I think that I am going to see if I can go donate to an NIL fund or something. I gotta try to do something to take that fate into our own hands. And look, while I also don't have the NFL Hall of Fame center physique that takes, I do have the chest hair, and I did appreciate Jason putting that out there. At the very least, I've got an absolutely hateful Halloween costume lining up for myself. Maybe
you've got the Sternbush to pull that off. So.
The what?
Sternbush.
I've never heard it called that before.
Never heard that?
Nope, but I have now, and now Dylan's heard it, and so now we might hear it again on Friday.
I can only hope.
We didn't even talk about Deion Bush. There's so many Bushes we could have talked about tonight. Instead, we're talking about mine. What? Pause, as Chris Jones would say, and did say multiple times. Matt, thank you as always. I very much look forward to our chatting on Friday in the zone. We get to look forward to Chiefs and Ravens, and we get to do this at least one more time, at least one more post-game show for us, which I feel like is only appropriate as well.
And I mean, I just don't feel like a season really ends, Josh, until you and I are on the radio at 2:00 in the morning after a Super Bowl game. So I still think we ought to do that, regardless of whether or not the Chiefs make it.
If it ends up being Lions, Ravens, or Niners, Ravens, or whatever, and if you want me to saunter on in here at 2 a.m. to bust into some national coverage so we can just sort of sadly discuss the Super Bowl, I'm willing to do that. I will be shirtless, though, so...
Oh, I won't streak because it's on the Mizzou National Championship, but I'll do it shirtless for the Twitch folks.
Hey, you know what? That I don't even know if that would be a terms of service violation or not. I feel like that's worth trying and worth risking a little bit of trouble for. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Joshua. Take care.
That is the, as far as you know, fully clothed Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He's on the phone, though, so, I mean, let the theater of the mind bring whatever mystery it has to you, I suppose. Read his work at ChiefsDigest.com and check out 41 is the Mic with Nick Jacobs. He's brought to you by Cap One Lending. The Freedom Loan at Cap One Lending is the exclusive loan that helps you pay your home off in less than half the time and gives you access to your home's equity without having to refinance. Go to CapOneLending.com. Then, in another tab, open up ChiefsDigest.com and go check out Matt's work there. We'll take a timeout, come back, and discuss a few more things around this game that are worth knowing about, plus maybe just a little glimpse ahead, plus a glimpse at history. The Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show rolls on, coming up next.
to the near side. It is grabbed on the play by Hardman. Ran to the pylon. Chiefs think he got across. He was hit. The ball was jarred free. He and the ball are out of bounds at the 1. Or did the ball go in the end zone on a fumble?
If the ball went into the end zone with his impetus,
jet sweep.
The ball's out of the end zone, which will take it to the 20. They're going to have to look at this. His butt cheek was down, but I couldn't tell if the ball was out or not.
The ball came loose in the player's possession before it was hit at the ground. The ball then rolled through the end zone. It is a touchback. It's Buffalo's ball.
That was ugly. It felt like that should have been a moment that put this game right in the Chiefs' control. Instead, they give it back to Buffalo. We had no choice but for that to be our ugly play of the game. Brought to you by We Buy Ugly Houses. Look, first and foremost, let me tell you that putting your situation in the hands of We Buy Ugly Houses will end less disastrously than that did. Good hands to put your situation in the folks at We Buy Ugly Houses, because owning a house can be a problem, an ugly problem. Repairs, taxes, mowing the yard. Let We Buy Ugly Houses be the solution. Call 1-800-44-BUYER or go to WeBuyUglyHouses.com. Really appreciate the folks at We Buy Ugly Houses also giving us a chance to highlight some of the silly plays that happen in a game-to-game basis, and in this case, a very ugly one that did not end up being a harbinger of things to come. Certainly could have been a moment where it melted down, but the Chiefs rallied from there, hold on from there, and beat the Bills 27-24. Look, we are now on the other side of 11 o'clock here, and the Chiefs are, I'm sure, celebrating in Buffalo before we'll begin talking about the Ravens in the days to come. Which, by the way, you'll hear that game, Chiefs-Ravens, the AFC Championship game will be right here on your home for the NFL next weekend, Sports Radio 810 WHB. But first, a brief history lesson, if you will. I want to talk about conference championship games with the time we have left tonight. The Chiefs, to this point in their history, according to Pro Football Reference here, have played in 8 conference championship games. They played in one in 1966, in the 66 season, beat the Bills before losing to the Packers in that Super Bowl. Then they played in another one before going on and beating the Vikings to win that Super Bowl. They did not see another conference championship game. They played one the 1969 season, one in January of 1970. 1970 en route to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs did not see another conference championship game until they lost to the Bills in January of 1994. I was not born when that game happened. I was about 11 months out. In fact, I was exactly 11 months out from making my debut into this world. The Chiefs won a conference championship, won the franchise's at the time and for a long while only Super Bowl. They went back after the 93 season and then did not return to the AFC Championship game until Patrick Mahomes took them there in his first year as the starting quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. That was in 2018. Then every single year since then, their season has gone no shorter than to the AFC Championship game. And with their win tonight over the Buffalo Bills, that trend continues. Appreciate it. Enjoy it, Kansas City. We'll talk to you in the morning. Till then, bye, Mom.